Hey guys, Ultraman52 here. Welcome to the first episode of Let's Talk Tuesday. So originally I wanted to have this first episode of Let's Talk Tuesday be about one thing that I did get, but if I showed it, it would be spoiling part 2 of the massive pickups video. So today I thought about that Let's Talk Tuesday would be about who is Ultraman52, as in, what's his story, how did he get to loving games and get to loving, kaiju and Ultraman and ponies and Transformers and crap like that. So I think we gotta take it all the way back to 1994. That would be the year I was born. I originally grew up still in Florida, but I grew up in Brooksville, Florida, and for video game wasn't how I got into it. My mom's friend of mine would always come over with her kid, and he would bring over the Sega Genesis. And it's kind of funny because the Sega Genesis was my first ever game console I played. I didn't own it, I just played it. And my first ever video game, in fact, I ever played was the many incarnations of Street Fighter 2. I believe it was Street Fighter 2 Turbo on the Sega Genesis. And after that, I got myself a original Nintendo and a Super Nintendo, and also a N64. And I had literally every super rare game you could think of, almost every. I don't remember what games I had on the original Nintendo, which I had a top loader, by the way. And for Super Wise, I remember having King of the Monsters 2, Super Godzilla, Super Metroid. I had every single Mega Man X game, like Mega Man X's 1, 2, and 3. And that makes me so fucking mad that I used to have those, and I sold them. Well, I was forced to sell them. Excuse me. And for N64, I had Smash Bros. And a bunch of other awesome games. Then my grandma, who was the one that got me all of it, I had when I was getting the PS2. Yet my grandma said, "Hey, we have all these game consoles because we had the PS1, the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and N64." She was like, "Hey, if you want one, if you want the PS2, you have to get rid of all your old stuff." So I was like, "Okay, fine," and I regret that to this day because if I only knew that that Supers were worth so much and X3 will be worth what it is now, I would have not sold anything. I would have kept it all for myself, especially a top loader. I'm like, oh my god. Yeah. So that's how I got into video games and whatnot. Because my first game that I played, like I said, was Street Fighter 2 Turbo on the Sega Genesis. So yeah, there's that. And for kaiju wise, on how I got into kaiju, it also involved my grandma. I used to, when I would grow up in Brooksville, on the weekdays I went to school, and then on the weekends I used to go over to my grandma's, from Friday to Sunday. And every time I went over there was a thing playing on TV. I'm sure some of you should know what it is. It was called Creature Feature, or Monster Vision, I believe it was called sometimes. And it would show all kinds of old school monster movies, and that's where I first saw King Kong. Some of my very first Godzilla films I saw as a kid. In fact, the first Godzilla film I saw as a kid was where the hell was it? It's right here on Blu-ray. Was King Kong versus Godzilla. I've seen the original King Kong a couple times as a kid. Didn't really pay any kind of attention to Kong because he's a giant gorilla. I didn't really care for them that much because as a kid at that age I was really into dinosaurs. And when I saw Godzilla, I was like, holy shit! I mean, he was a dinosaur or something. You could even call even a dragon. Godzilla could be called that. And he breathed fire, and I was like, oh my god, this is the coolest dinosaur I've ever seen in my life. And I just fell in love with the character. And to this day, I own almost every single Godzilla film on DVD on Blu-ray, except for a few. I'm missing the Blu-ray Godzilla vs. Gigan and Hedorah and Godzilla 1980. Well, a couple actually. I have a couple of them on DVD, and I have some of the newer ones on Blu-ray. And she was also the person that got me introduced into Gamera. My first ever Gamera film was Gamera Guardian of the Universe. And I absolutely loved it. It was so cool. It was the Heisei retelling of the Gamera story, except slightly different. And just I thought, and Gamera himself was so cool. He was a giant flying turtle that shot fireballs / breathes fire. I was like, yeah, that's super cool. Like, I fell in love with both characters, like Godzilla and Gamera. So that was awesome. And then my uncle, of all people, got me introduced into Ultraman, which my first ever Ultraman that I ever watched was, God, it's always a toss-up between Ultraman Great, aka Ultraman Towards the Future, and where the hell? Oh, here, and Ultraman Tiga. Possibly one of my favorite Ultraman of all time. If not my second favorite Ultraman. My favorite Ultraman of all time is Ultraman Nexus. I love Nexus. He's so cool. Very underrated Ultraman, by the way. And I used to watch Ultraman Tiga, on 4Kids, unfortunately, with the shitty 4Kids dub. Although the intro theme song for Tiga was awesome. In fact, I originally wanted that to be my opening theme song to my YouTube channel, but I couldn't find a HD quality version of the song where I could edit it and make it sound like my own. So maybe someday I will, but I don't know. And then after that, I didn't know that there were more than one Ultraman until years later. They released the first Ultraman on DVD here, the 2 volumes, and then I watched that and I was like, wow, like the original Ultraman was so cool because I got to see so many really unique monsters like Gomora, Red King, Bemular, Jiris, which was a Godzilla suit pretty much, and a crap ton of monsters. And then I found that there were even more Ultraman like after him. It was like, no, there's Ultra 7, Ultraman Jack, Ace, Taro, Leo, Gaia, Dinah, just a shitload of Ultramen. And just I've been following Ultraman ever since. In fact, I'd say about 60% of my entire collection is of Ultraman monsters / Ultra figures, honestly. So yeah, and a very kind of unfortunately sad story that I always get kind of emotional when I'm telling it. Is that as a kid, one time when I went over to my grandma's, on TV they had, yeah, it was in 2005, excuse me, 2005, my grandma bought me a movie called Godzilla vs. Destroya, and I watched it, and which is also one of my favorite Godzilla films of all time, hands down, because it's just so well done, and it's the first time. And it's still to this day the only Godzilla film has made me cry at the end. Because in Destroya, Godzilla dies in the most just heart-wrenching, saddening way like possible. And I remember crying for like a whole week straight about it. Like, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I thought, because this was back when I didn't know how to use the internet, and I thought that, you know, this was the newest Godzilla film at the time. So, and I didn't know like how the films went in order for Godzilla wise, so I thought that Destroy was the final film, until I realized that, you know, this is on like the last film in the second series, the Heisei series, which by that time the Millennium series was already out, and they had like 5 or 6 films, I believe, like it's, yeah, and after that week, I don't know, maybe it was a sign or something, honestly, the week after I finally got over seeing my hero die, because honestly, like, you know, at that time Godzilla was my hero, and he still kind of is, because, you know, how is a little kid supposed to, you know, watch his hero die, like, you know, right in front of him, and, oh god. Give me a second. And the week after that, found out that my grandma died. And, because she was the one that got me into the whole thing, you know, because she was the one that got me into the whole thing, you know, of Godzilla and everything, honestly. And, you know, that was, you know, the worst part about me, is that the person that got me into the whole loved this character and this franchise and this whole universe of giant monsters, you know, just was taken away. I mean, the fact that I watched my hero die, like, right in front of me, like, the week before, and then the person that got me into the character, you know, just goes at, like, right after that. And, but yeah, that's, how I got into Godzilla. And I've been collecting ever since, too. It's, granted, I haven't bought a new kaiju figure in a very long time, because just the fact that it's kind of gotten really weird. Some figures are pretty cheap, some are pretty expensive, and it's not hard, I would say, to collect the figures wise. It's just hard to get them at a good price. I mean, the SH Monster Art series is out now, and they've been doing more and more figures. There's a couple new figures I want to get from that line, honestly, and yeah. In fact, the reason why I still collect is not only is it a hobby, it also is to honor the memory of my grandma, and that's why I collect. Granted, I will stop collecting at some point, like when I reach a certain number of figures, and then I probably guess like when I die, I'll probably just give that on to like some, you know, to an up and coming fan who wants to know more about the series and the franchise of Gamera, Ultraman, and Godzilla. And hopefully I can do that at some point in my life before I die. Okay, so yeah, okay, I'm really sorry for almost like at that point. Like I say, it's always emotional for me to talk about that story, because me and my grandma were very, very close, and she was, like I said, you know, she was the one that got me into it all. So it was really hard for me. So it's really hard to not talk about that story and not, you know, almost break down, honestly. So I apologize severely for that. Yeah. Again, I'm sorry about that. Yeah, so how I now, looking over there, this way over here, at my Transformer collection, on how I got into the Transformers, that I kind of got in myself. I got in that myself because I went to a Blockbuster, yeah, like, remember those, Blockbuster? And they had a movie. They had like a movie, like a VHS on there. And it was the Generation 1 Transformers movie. And at the time I had no idea what Transformers was. And I watched it and I was like, holy shit, this is fucking cool. In fact, I happen to own, let it go, right here. I happen to own 2 different releases of the Transformers Generation. Ooh, this is the more rare DVD. This is the even more rare DVD. So yeah, I was able to get those. And then after I watched the movie, I watched a series called Beast Wars, which is hands down one of my favorite, if not my favorite, cartoon series of all time. I happen to own all 3 seasons right here, signed by Scott McNeil. And that was, you know, a series that I fucking thought was cool as shit, because it's, for Beast Wars wise, it was animals turning into robots, and that was fucking cool as shit to me. Like, I thought that originally that Mechagodzilla was cool, but when I saw them, I was like, holy shit, you know, they're animals that transform into robots. So, and then when I found out there were more and more series, and then I got into more series, like, then after Beast Wars, I kind of got out of Transformers, but then when Transformers Armada came out, I instantly got back into the franchise because Armada was so fucking good. It's my favorite Transformers series of all time. That was my phone if you heard it. And my favorite character in that series is hands down Starscream. I love the Armada Starscream. In fact, I happen to own the Generations release of that character, and I would love to meet Michael Dobson, who plays him, and just get him to sign that because it's a fucking amazing figure, and the character he played of Starscream was fucking amazing. I loved it so much. So, and I've been following Transformers ever since. I've seen Energon, Cybertron. I didn't really like Energon that much. The animation for Energon was way too blocky, honestly. But Cybertron was good. I did like Cybertron. Then I saw Animated, which was good. I did like Animated. Then I saw Prime, which I owned the first season of Prime. Well, yeah, I owned the first season of Prime. And I haven't seen the newest series, We're Watching the Skies. I haven't seen that one yet. There's a few series I have not seen, like Transformers R.I.D., which is back in the 90s/early 2000s, I believe. Which that had some of my favorite Transformer designs in it, hands down, especially Galvatron. Galvatron was fucking badass in that series, all white and black and purple, fucking kick-ass. And the only other one I've not seen is, well, the only other two I've not seen is Beast Wars 2nd and Beast Wars Neo, which are two Japanese anime continuations of Beast Wars, which still, for some unknown reason, why have not gotten a US release. Shout Factory, come on, where's those releases of Beast Wars 2nd and Beast Wars Neo, please? I would love to see that series. But yeah, that's how I got into Transformers. And then I, of course, saw the Michael Bay films, and they're bleh, honestly. But yeah, that's how I got into the Transformers. Now, anime-wise, animes I got myself into. First starting off, again, back in the late 90s, in Brooksville, Florida, ended up watching two series a lot. Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball Z. I think anybody can say those were, any 90s kid can say that was their, either one of those two series were their first animes, if not both. And animes kind of got me exposed to the whole, like, you know, anime girls are hot. And Dragon Ball Z showed me that battle scenes can be fucking badass as shit. And after that, I started to watch, you know, more and more anime. I watched Gundam Wing, which love Gundam Wing. In fact, my first ever Gundam series I saw was Gundam Wing, and I love it. I love Gundam Wing. Then I saw what other series was it? Then I saw Mobile Fighter G Gundam, which is my second favorite Gundam series of all time, if not my favorite. I mean, Gundam Wing is my favorite because of the fact it's my first, but storytelling wise, G Gundam might be my favorite. Because originally I thought that Gundam was in fact Transformers because it was giant robots, but in fact it turned out to be a completely different series, and I was like, okay, cool, this is still cool. I love these system giant robots, so yeah. And then I started to watch more and more anime. I started to watch Evangelion, which is one of my more complex animes I watched. Which is great because Evangelion like makes you think a lot. And it's also hands down one of the best animes I've ever seen, and definitely in my top 10 favorite animes. And then I got to see, of course, naming a few instances of some great animes I've seen. Then I saw possibly my favorite anime of all time, Code Geass. I love Code Geass. It's my hands down my favorite anime. Storytelling for that series was so damn good, it's not even funny. Johnny Young Bosch, fucking amazing fucking actor as Lelouch Lamperouche v Britannia. And just, you know, some of my favorite characters are also in that series. Like Lelouch is my favorite character because because you can kind of see the good and bad in him, but and whatnot. So yeah, there's him. I also love CC/C2. She is fucking gorgeous in that anime. Same thing as like for Colin Stridefield. She is fucking sexy as hell. Oh my god. And I'm getting myself into more newer anime. Like I've seen Naruto and Bleach and all the other cool. There's a fly over there. I got easily distracted, sorry. But yeah. But like, what am I currently watching in anime-wise? Currently watching 7 Deadly Sins on Netflix. Great one, by the way. Very good Netflix exclusive series. What the fuck else am I watching? I think that's it, actually, yeah. It's the last one I've seen, in fact, that I actually gave a shit for. I've seen some other animes here and there, like Edeka 7 and FLC, which Footly Cooley, great anime. Bobo is another great one. Random as shit, but I love it. But yeah, there's so many animes that I've seen that I love that I couldn't even tell you. Like Angel Beats, the only anime that's made me cry at the end, and I loved it so much. Angel Beats is a fucking amazing series, by the way. Definitely watch Angel Beats. But yeah, I think I've gone on rambling enough. Oh, ponies. On how I got into ponies. I used to, like, the school I used to grow up with was I used to go to the Dixie Hollands. Of course, I'm graduated now, obviously. And 2013, 2012, I think I want to say. So friends of mine were saying like these weird names at lunch. They were saying, you know, Twilight Sparkle, Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy. I'm like, and I turned to him and I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you even saying? Like, what the hell are all these names? And he just replied with My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. Go watch it. So I was like, okay, that's weird. So after school, I come home, get all my chores done, and at that point, after all my chores, I'm bored as shit. I have nothing to do. So I think back to what my friend said. It was like, My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. So okay, so I go on my computer, I type it in on YouTube, episode 1, because this was when season 2 was about to come out. Like, we were like weeks from season 2, and so I was like, okay, Friendship Magic, episode 1. So I watch it, and after watching the first episode, I'm like, you know what, that wasn't that bad. So like watch it. So I watched episode 2. It was like, okay. Episode 3. It was like, okay, cool. And then, you know, every like day or two, I watched like 2 or 3 episodes, because I knew that season 2, because like they said that season 2 was coming out very soon. So I was like, okay, shit, I need to catch up on season 1. So I watched. So essentially, I binge watched season 1 for an entire week, and got caught up. And of course, now I've seen every single season of Ponies. It's one of the very few series I've actually watched every single episode intact, at least. Then of course I've seen all the Equestria Girls movies, which 2 is still my favorite. Rainbow Rocks is still the best, hands down. I love the Dazzlings in that movie. And then I of course got into more. And then of course I got into some of the brony artists, you know, like the Living Tombstone, Alex S, which he technically wasn't even a brony artist, or like music artist. He was a music artist before Ponies, and even before Ponies he was still really good. So I got into him, the Living Tombstone, a bunch of other guys, Wooden Toaster, and a bunch of other guys and whatnot. And still to this day, I've still not been to a single pony convention, even though that we have one here in Florida called the Grand Brony Gala. It's in Tampa. It's this year, like it hadn't started yet, and it's, I forget where it is, but they've only announced like 2 guests, and they're ones I don't really want to see. As soon as they get the voice actor as soon as they get Tabitha St. Germain, who's Princess Luna, or the lady who voices Sonata Dusk, then I'm, yeah, fuck it all, going right there. I would kill to have those 2 like, you know, I would kill to meet those 2. They are awesome. Also, I've done a lot of really kick-ass animes from what I remember. But yeah, I think I've done rambling for now. Again, I apologize for almost crying. Like I said, I can't talk about that story without almost cracking up. So again, I apologize. So yeah, guys, stay tuned this Friday for part 2 of the Massive Pickups video. Hope you guys all enjoyed, and happy Tuesday, and sayonara.